Awesome. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm Sherry Richert Belul, author of Say It Now, and I'm so happy to see all of you today at today's Heart Wisdom panel. And special welcome to Mr. Alan Klein for being one of our featured authors. Give him a hand. And June Cotner. Hello, June.
Hi, thank you.
Hi,
Good to
June.
have you. Oh, and Ms. Brenda's joined us. Hi, Brenda.
Hello.
Yes. And Debbie, thank you for everything you always do to help keep us going and getting here. And I love your hat today.
Thank you.
So awesome. Welcome. It feels like it's been a while because we took last week off because of the inauguration. And today is, I think, going to be so perfect because Alan and June, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at their books that they both have, but they're so full of joy. And I'm really excited that we get to kind of bring this on inspiration and joy and positivity today. So why don't we start, June? How about if you introduce yourself and hold up your latest book and tell us a little about you.
Sure. Yes, here's my book
It's so
called
colorful.
Hey, It's Your Day, and it's inspirational quotes and affirmations to live by. And I started it. I in 1993, I had my first inspirational collection published. It was called Graces, and it consisted of inspirational poems and interfaith prayers. And so I've gone along and I've done a number of books now. And we have a guest here, Nancy Tupper-Ling. She's my co-author on 3 of my books. But this is the first time I've done a quote compilation. I've been gathering quotes for since I was 14, and I even have my original notebook. And so I was just, I always wanted to do a quote collection. I was just thrilled when Brenda and Mango wanted to publish it. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Oh, yay. And I know that after Alan introduces himself, we'll come back. And I know you've got a little something to read to us. So that'll be great.
Okay,
Thank
sure.
you. Welcome, June. Hey, Alan, good to see you again.
Hi, good to be here. Thank you. So my latest book is The Awe Factor. How to get more awe and wonder in your life, how a little bit of wonder can make a big difference in your life. And this is my 30 some odd book. I've stopped counting, but people always say, well, how do you come up with an idea for a book? And it's usually from my personal life. And this one, I was realizing I was getting older and looking over my past, and I realized so many things in my life have like knocked my socks off, or made me go, wow, or how did that happen? Or that's amazing. And I started to just put those together and realize that probably a lot of people have that in their life too, but they don't maybe categorize it as like an awe moment. They think you got to be in, Niagara Falls or the Grand Canyon to have an awe moment. And I realize you don't. And then not only are all moments all around us, but in the last 8 years or so, science is finding the benefits to keep us happier and healthier. And so I just start writing that and researching it and asking people what are their times when, they found awe and wonder in their life, and put my own stories in, and all of a sudden you have a book. So there it is. The awe factor.
Well, and again, you guys can see just from the covers of these 2 books, right? They're just, to me, they both just pop out, and I love that. I love both of them. And June, why don't we come back to you and have you share a little with us?
Okay. Yes, I could start with joy and positivity. And my book, let's see, let me find it here. Oh, I know. Yeah, an inspiration. Sorry, I've got things tagged, but I just have to find the page number.
Oh, that's okay, June.
Yeah.
It's worth waiting for.
Okay.
A little positivity joy we can wait for.
Yeah, this is from the inspiration chapter. And I don't know if anyone has heard of the author Dinsky, but I love his books. And I really like it when a short quote says so much. And this is, share your sparkle wherever you go. I'm sorry, wherever you are. And it's by Dinsky. And I love that so much. And then some of the other quotes are longer. And this is one that, oh, maybe I've had for about 10 or 15 years. Above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. And that's Roald Dahl for that one. And do you want me to continue with a few more or come back or?
Yes, let's have a couple more.
Okay.
Great way. I think it's just a great way to start. Give us a good foundation today.
Yes. Okay. This is from the chapter of joy. It is not joy that makes us grateful. It is gratitude that makes us joyful. And that's Brother David Steindl-Rast. And then there's one, Emily Dickinson. The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. And I have these color-coded actually to make it a little bit easier. From the positivity chapter, Ralph Waldo Emerson, write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. So that really embodies positivity. And Norman Vincent Peale, change your thoughts and you change the world. And then Sark, I think I've probably read all of her books. And you too, Brenda, right?
Yeah.
You are always on your way to a miracle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
will you hold up and show us the inside of your book, because it's
sure.
It's so fun.
It's really really colorful. It's just gorgeous. Some of the pages have a yellow background, and then others have and then on the yellow background, the quotes are in red and blue. And then this is an example of a chapter head, Perseverance. And then the interior is a blue background. And I mean, I was just so thrilled because I think the book is so reasonably priced to have color interior. I was just, thrilled about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for all those beautiful quotes. And
you're so welcome.
I think also, I hope others agree with me, but there's something about just seeing the inside of your book that makes I just feel lighter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Hello, Mr. Allen.
Hello. And before I read from my book, I'm really jealous, June, because I have a quote book with Mango called Positive Thoughts for Troubling Times.
I've read it. I like that book. Yes.
Thank you. But it just has black type on a white background.
Oh, that was early Mango. We were early days.
Early, I know, but now, oh God, it's so beautiful. Yes. So also you mentioned Sark, who never gives endorsements for books, and she actually wrote a foreword for one of mine.
Oh, wonderful.
I was at a conference with her. We were both keynote speakers. I was sitting next to her at lunch, and so we kind of chatted, but she had laryngitis. And she didn't want to talk because she was going to get up and try to speak any moment. But we became friends then, and she did give me the foreword for one of my books that I was writing at the time. So that was great. Her books are very colorful, and yours looks a little like that. I love it. Yeah.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to read something from the off factor, and usually I like taking books and just opening them up and reading them. So I was going to do that, and then I thought, and here I just opened it up and there's a wonderful story, but I actually chose one before because you asked us, Sherry, to do that. So I think I read that one because it's about awe and refrigerators.
Oh, okay.
Alan,
Now, all of you have refrigerators, I'm sure, right?
Yes, yeah.
Uh, how many of you have looked at your refrigerator and been in awe? Probably none of us. And it's why I want to read this story, because it's a man who did find wonder and awe in the refrigerator. So I was listening to a radio show the other day in which three men who had been in prison for at least 5 years were about to be released. The reporter asked all of them the same questions. What are a few things you're looking forward to doing when you get out of prison? Most of them replied with what one might expect from someone who had been incarcerated to say something like spending time with my family, or going to a baseball game, or seeing my favorite friends again. But one prisoner said something that took me by surprise. The thing he was looking forward to most, and this is in quotes, was to open the refrigerator. How many times a day do we open the refrigerator without thinking about it? Yet here was a young man who was looking forward to this simple everyday act, bringing him great joy. After hearing him say that, I realized that there was a deeper meaning to his answer. It revealed his restricted freedom and lack of control of his own life while being locked up. He couldn't get any food or drink whenever he wanted. His meals and his choice of what he ate were mandated by others. Even getting up and getting a glass of milk or a cold soda was denied. Is it any wonder then that for this man, even the thought of simply opening the refrigerator was awe-inspiring? And it just, when I heard him say that, it was just like, how many things around us or how many things we encounter every day that we don't realize what gifts we have. And how when we don't have them, when we're reintroduced maybe to them, how that, we get this sense of what we missed and what we didn't appreciate all those times we had it. So that's the story I chose to remind us to get more wonder and awe, because it is truly all around us.
oh, Alan, I love that you chose that for us. That was so perfect. Especially, you're right, like something that we all do multiple times a day. And I bet every one of us, the next time we open a refrigerator, we'll do it with that sense of awe, thanks to you. That was
Yeah,
so
great,
beautiful.
great. And during COVID too, now a lot of us probably are going, oh, I miss going to restaurants. I miss travel. I miss this. I miss that. Instead of looking for the things you miss, concentrate on the things that you still have.
Yeah.
I remember a great teacher I once had said, to want what you don't have is to waste what you do have.
Ah, I love that.
So, yeah.
I think I've mentioned here before on the panel, but that I do an exercise with my coaching clients called wishing for what you have, where we literally wish for things, because then it's like instant manifestation and you see them differently, right? You see things, and I know one of you, June or Alan will know this, is it Emerson who said, if the stars should only come out every 1,000 years, how we would marvel? Do you guys know that? Linda's not.
I
Yeah.
don't, but I love it.
Yeah.
Linda, is that right? I see you nodding.
I know the quote, but I can't remember who it was from, but it is really such a beautiful quote. It does sound like Emerson, but I don't remember for sure.
Right, but it's exactly what Alan's saying. Like, can you imagine if the stars, like if they weren't up there every night and suddenly we looked up, we would just talk about awe.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Well, so June, let's come back to you and hear a little bit more. I mean, I love that you two set this beautiful foundation of awe and inspiration. And I'm just wondering what's top of your mind right now about, like, when you think about the work you're doing and how it can support us during these challenging times.
Right. Yeah. Ellen mentioned not going to restaurants and things like that. And I do have to say my work part has pretty much remained the same, other than I can't go out and do book events and everything. But I'm especially, cognizant of more that is happening. And Nancy Tupperling and I have talked about doing a book on grieving together. And so I'd say that's been affected by the pandemic. And then I, really like to do things to, find serenity in my own life, and because I just think it makes me better overall. But one thing I really love doing is I call my first hour of the day morning coffee time, and with that I work on anything I want, and a lot of times it'll be a book proposal because I'm really excited about that. And then at the end of the day, I go for usually a 3-mile hike with my dog, and that just really calms me. And then I do work a bit in the evening just because I have those generous activities of morning coffee time and hiking. So yeah, but these events, the pandemic has just affected all of us drastically. And maybe I'll just mention in passing that in the fall, Nancy Tupperling and I have a children's picture book and anthology coming out for every little thing. And it'll be geared to 4 to 8 years old. It'll help children, young children, notice and observe the world around them. And through the poetry, I think the kids will have a good sense of how to start seeing gratitude around them, so they perhaps hopefully appreciate life more. And Nancy's a very accomplished children's author, and it's just been wonderful working with her on that project.
Oh, and June, I love what you're saying. That morning coffee time, that just really resonated with me. The offering to yourself of having that time to really start the day with something that means something to you, that you love. And then of course the hike with your dog, like that's so beautiful. Such a great example of really, really caring for ourselves.
Yeah. And, I have to say, Sherry, I wanted to learn more about you. So I went online and read what I could of your book, Say It Now. And it's fantastic. I ended up ordering a copy, and I think it'd be great if you told us about your book, because I wasn't aware of your specific content.
Ah, June, that is so sweet of you. And thank you very much. My book is Say It Now, and it's really about helping people to express in really simple ways their love for people in their lives. So a lot of my work is about appreciation and really, obviously the name Say It Now, not waiting, that our lives, we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with us or people we love. And it's really important to me to have practices that are really fun and playful and creative and simple to express that. So thank you for asking. I really appreciate that.
I'm going to interject very quickly to say, if you want to know more about Say It Now, on February 13th, which is Galentine's Day, Sherry is doing an event with the Women's National Book Association. I'm going to put that link into chat. And even if you're a man, we would be fine with you joining Valentine's Day, because we want to celebrate love for all. And Sherry's going to be doing one of the exercises actually from Say It Now, one of the just deliciously wonderful, which is how to create a love list. So stop on by, it's free, and you'll walk away with like a love list and just a full heart.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. And I hope people do come, because just like this, that community, like, it's so not, right? It's great to be with people who are are wanting to bring more life into life right now, especially, and more care and more expression of love for others and inspiration and positivity. So yeah, thank you for that, Brenda.
My pleasure.
So can I share about Valentine's Day?
Alan, jump right in.
So several years ago, I got a letter from somebody. I had no idea who they were. And it said they own their own company, and their wife or girlfriend, I don't remember at the time, was so busy on February 12th that they forgot. When is Valentine's Day? The 12th? Is
14.
that right? 14th, sorry. They were so busy on the 14th that they forgot it was Valentine's Day. So they said to each other the following day when they realized they just missed it, it sounds a little like Alan Klein's Day. And so they went on the computer and looked up Alan Klein.
Oh my God.
And they said I was the first one that came up. So now every February 15th, they celebrate Alan Klein's Day.
Oh,
Oh,
That is incredible.
You know, that I guess I hadn't thought about it till very moment now telling the story, but that was an all moment for me getting that letter. And now every February 15th, I sent him and his girlfriend a little Valentine's note on the internet. Happy Alan Klein's Day.
Beautiful example, right? Of, wait, you call yourself a joyologist. Is that right? Do I have the
Jollytologist.
Jollytologist?
And
Jolly-
now an aweologist.
As an autologist and jollytologist, that's a tongue twister. I just wanted to say that is so perfect, that celebration that you created from them, like you could have just been touched by that and tickled by that, but the fact that you keep it going is so beautiful. I love that.
And I've saved the letter. It's a real letter. It wasn't an email. And it just like, it's what I'm talking about. Oh, it's like knocked my socks off. You know, it just was, I was like overwhelmed when I read that letter. It was just so amazing. So there are things in our life, you know, everyone here go over your life and you'll find those incredible magical moments that could lift you up. And in fact, now COVID time, maybe now's the time to take stock. Or the other thing I advise is people have a 3x5 card and put the big letter A on it. Carry the card around whenever you feel it in your pocket. Stop for a moment and just look around for anything that awes you or that amazes you. And then maybe take a picture of it or write it down. I was on a interview yesterday by a woman who has a podcast called Love Letters Live. And she talks about writing love letters. And she said, oh, I got a great idea. You go out and you go look for something that will awe you. And then you come back in your office or your home and you write a letter to yourself of what it was and why it awed you. And then you mail it to yourself. And I thought, look, you're getting double awe that way. Once when you see it and write about it, and second when you get the letter.
Oh, Alan.
And you know, I'm not just making some of this benefits all up, but what I just talked about is actually scientific proof that you don't even have to be in nature, like in the redwoods. You could just have pictures of nature around you, and that will bring some of those same benefits that awe brings. So which they're finding can help with depression and anxiety. There's studies with seniors that have gone out for a walk, and one group was told to find something that awes them, and the others was just to go for a walk. And after 8 weeks of this, they tested both groups, and those that were told had a prompt to find something that awed them had less depression and were less anxious than the other group.
Wow.
So I'm talking about scientific stuff to make us happier and healthier. And that's why I think June, quotes, I have a number of quotation books. Also, if you want more to be uplifted, just have some of those wise words, those quotations around, because it's the words that we feed ourselves all the time that are really who we are and what our attitude towards life is. So we really need those on a constant basis. And just as I think we need awe in our life on a constant basis.
Alan, I love when you were talking about, going out in search of awe, with that sort of very intentional. And I was in another group that I lead, and someone was an artist, and she would go for a walk. And when she saw something really that just was wonderful or struck her as beautiful or filled with awe, she would draw it and then leave it for the person. Like, so it might be somebody had a really artistic
wow.
mailbox, or maybe they had a
Wow.
beautiful flower, and she would just leave that for them, anonymously, saying, something like, "This was so beautiful, thank you." And that
Yeah.
just reminded me of that, like, to go in search of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about actually is the subject of my TEDx talk, the power of intention. So you can do that with anything, but in relation to awe, I took a class last year. It was called Wonder Hunt. So we got a prompt every day to go out and find something that was awe related or caused wonder and the prompt, it was for 2 weeks, and then we would take photos of it, and so we'd see it or share it with other people on the internet in that class. And one day it was to find everything that was heart-shaped.
Oh,
And so I thought, well, this is fun as I'm walking my dog. And then I come back home and I had morning glories around my gate. And for several weeks they were blooming, and I would walk in and out of my gate several times a day, not realizing until that moment that all the leaves were heart-shaped.
Oh my, wow.
So what I'm talking about is like the power of intent. If you intend to see something, generally you will see it, because you're expanding your consciousness. So if you want to get more awe in your life, more wonder in your life, set a goal for intention of what will that be that day. And chances are you're going to start finding it. It's
June,
just like I'll tell you, Sherry, don't think of the color blue.
blue, 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 blue.
Everyone, right. It just like, it's the same kind of thing. So just look for it and the awe and the wonder in your life, and you will find it.
I was just going to ask June, do you find that for you, the inspiration and the positivity, the quotes, do they find you, or do you set out to find them?
Oh, I'd say for the most part, they find me. And that they just enter my awareness, as well as I'm a speed reader, and I just read a ton of books, a ton of nonfiction books. And so it's off, because I also like to find unusual quotes that aren't widely published elsewhere. And so I'd have to say, through some of my speed reading nonfiction books is where I find a lot of quotes. Or sometimes even I'll hear a radio program and a quote will pop out from that, or on TV. And I think I remember watching Ken Burns' special on the women's movement, and I was just writing quotes down right and left. It was just so great that so I'd say for the most part they find me. Yeah, I mean, I guess I go seeking, of course, by reading the books, but I just feel like it's a discovery.
And I also got the feeling that you have your receptors out, that
Oh yeah,
you're out and they're sort of finding you that way. But
yeah, I always have a little notebook with me, and just because I like to jot things down. And yeah,
I love that.
yeah, so
I love the idea of your receptors, like you have these, because that's really what it is. Brenda and has published a number of my books, this publisher and the publisher before. And I found Brenda because I had a bunch of books that Random House was doing, and they closed that division. And then I went to a meeting to hear a speaker. Unbeknown to me, Brenda was right behind me, and a man was sitting talking to her. And Brenda was saying, we have a very successful publishing company, but we're opening a division and we're looking for uplifting, motivational, inspirational books. And I turned around and I said, I have 8 of them, very successful, but looking for a new publisher. And the way I got that is I had a 3x5 card that said the perfect publisher will find me.
Oh, yeah.
And what it
Yeah.
was, I realized, while we're talking, is I put my antennas out to find a publisher, and it happened.
Ah,
So same thing with Joy, same thing with, as you said, June, finding the quotes come to you. You put some energy to read the books, but basically they
Right,
probably
yeah.
jump off the page. Oh, this is
Right.
probably a perfect book, right?
Yeah.
A perfect quote rather for the next book. Yeah. So keep those antennas out, whatever you want in your life. And yeah, so finding Brenda and getting published, because she was sitting, and that's like for me an all moment. How did that all come together? I could have sat anywhere else in the room. Brenda could have not been there. I could have not heard. The man could have been sitting somewhere else, not talking to Brenda. It just, these things amaze me. These, and people call it synchronicity. Is that the right synchronicity?
Synchronicity.
Say that.
Deepak Chopra calls it synchrodestiny.
ha. Oh, that's
Oh, I like that.
Better.
Yeah, and that's it. It's but those are maybe they are synchronistic, but they're also for me all moments in my life.
Alan, you're making me realize right this moment is an awe moment, right? Because as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, I'm seeing all of your faces, these beautiful faces of these people that I didn't know last year at this time. And how awesome is that? Like truly full of awe that we would all land here together. So I thank you for pointing that out, Alan, to remember that, to seek the awe.
Right. And then we could be looking back and there'll be some relationship that might happen between some of these people that we would have never, ever thought about looking back, say a year from now.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's open it up and see if, does anybody have a question for June or Alan or Monk, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to share a very brief experience around this awe because it just happened 2 days ago. We have just been through a very unusual piece of weather here in Tucson, which is customarily a warm and dry and sunny place. But we had a ferocious winter storm with snow and ice and hail. And these things, sometimes you get once a year, you might get that for like an hour in Tucson, and everybody gets excited because there's a tiny dusting and everybody goes, oh, look, snow. But this was like 2.5 days. And I am a fan of living creatures, and I have all kinds of bird feeders on my patio. And I looked out in the snowstorm in the thick of it when the flakes were the biggest, coming down the hardest, and I saw this little hummingbird. And it was, obviously not evolutionarily adapted to this kind of weather. And I saw him come to my feeder, and I realized that the feeder was empty. And I ran out to, recharge the feeder, and he was gone. And I became obsessed with finding this little guy and getting him some food. And I ended up finding him in a bush near my patio, in which he was huddled in this torpid state. At first, he appeared dead. And as I had done earlier this year with another one that got trapped in my garage, I kind of, stuck his beak in sugar and brought him back. And then I didn't know whether it was too cold to let him out or what I should do. So I perched him on the feeder outside, figuring that anything else would be too stressful. But I was quite in awe of the fact that he could survive this, and that this torpid state that I saw was not in fact death at all, but was his survival strategy. If his little heartbeat couldn't be fed, every 5 minutes, then he just shut it down until it could. And I looked into that a little bit more and learned about that, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
I just love also, I love that you were so present that you noticed, and that you went so far out of your way to connect and to help that little bird. That's so sweet.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but I am a monk. But thank you for It's kind of the work. It's the work, but thank you.
I know, but even monks, sometimes go unconscious, right?
Definitely. Most assuredly.
Thank you.
And Monk, you mentioned snow, and for me, snow is just, I don't like using the word a lot, but snow is awesome. And when
Love
I
it
was
too.
researching snow for the book, I think they said we think there's lots of different crystals. Each one is a different crystal shape. There's actually 31 or 32 shapes. And
that's it.
And that's it. But just when I live in San Francisco, so we don't get a lot of snow, but when I lived in New York City, if it snowed, I could tell without even looking out the window, because I lived on 3rd Avenue, which is very busy. And suddenly the sounds would change. It would become so quiet.
I grew up there and I remember it very well.
Yeah. And so there's something awesome about snow, and watching snow kind of come down slowly, and knowing that there's 31 now, knowing that there's 31 crystal shapes. And next time it's snow, I'm going to be in snow, wherever that is. I want to see if I could hear the snow falling. Is it possible to
It is
hear the
possible.
snow
Absolutely.
falling? It is? Okay.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. But so there's a little awesome thing I've set up for myself, is like next time I'm in snow to listen, because I think we don't find awesome things that are awesome or awesome moments because we don't listen. And so, like, I was in the shower the other day, and first time I stopped and listened to the shower, and it sounded just like the waterfalls that I remember hearing in Hawaii. So now when I shower, I think more of, I'm going under the waterfalls. And so it's you may think it's silly, I don't know, but it's like an uplifting thought that because I've listened to the shower, it uplifts me more than it ordinarily would.
I love that. Anyone else want to jump in with anything, questions or thoughts or awesome moments that you're remembering as we're talking about this? Linda.
I just had, I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll go Linda and then Brenda. Sorry, they sound similar, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Linda and then Brenda.
Okay. No, just yesterday. I'm not at home where I usually am. I am in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with my sister for 5 days. And I went birding yesterday. And it was a listening and awe moment for me. I was by myself, and I got out of my car and I had my stuff with me, my camera bag and my binoculars, and but my camera was still in the bag. And I was just leaving the parking lot, and this little voice said, well, you should get your camera out because you never know what you might see. And I thought, well, I kind of started to argue. I'm like, I'm still in the parking lot. But then it was like, okay, fine. So I got my camera out, and I had literally taken 2 steps after I got my camera out and got it ready. And there was a very large wild turkey walked out of the woods across the street. And then it was followed by 2 others. And I got to take all these really amazing pictures of these turkeys, really beautiful, put his wings out and all this stuff. It was just breathtaking. And then I went on the trail and I came back around and went into the gift shop and I was like, you know what? I want to get a t-shirt. And I was looking around and there was a t-shirt with hiking boots on it that said, you never know unless you go. And I was like, so I got a t-shirt. And the rest of the afternoon I saw a juvenile bald eagle and egrets. It was just, the whole afternoon was awe-inspiring. So yeah, I just love those moments. And Alan, I've had so many times where I look at what's going on and think, I couldn't have made that happen like that if I had tried. And I love those moments. It's so beautiful to just step back and look.
Right. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Linda. That was beautiful. Hey, Brenda.
Yeah, hi. We have a whole, I don't know what it is, the gaggle of turkeys that lives in this neighborhood. There's like 20 and they strut around like they own the place and it's pretty cute. And so I just wanted to say that my first job in publishing at Harper San Francisco, the San Francisco division of HarperCollins, there was this book called Graces that was put together by this woman named June Kotner that like was sold like a crazy amount, like especially to like specialty places like Restoration Hardware, like took tens of thousands of copies.
Wow.
And I just remembered thinking like, wow, if you ever get the chance, you've got to work with that June Kotner because she knows what she's doing. And then we were doing like little press releases, like and working on them, Debbie and Shelby and company and I inside. And I'm like, you've got to say that June Kotner sold like over 2 million copies of her books. And then actually Alan Klein has sold like, I think well over 1.5 million copies of his books. So I just sort of wanted to say that like, you know, we have two of like we have the king and queen of inspiration here. So I'm in awe of them.
Oh, yay.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, of course, it's delightful working with you. And you know, I happened to find myself in Sonoma one winter, I don't know, it was like 7 or 8 years ago. And then I forget what it was, whether I read about Viva Editions or something. So then I believe my agent called you and to see if we could meet. And it just was
You had
delightful.
seen one of Alan Klein's books that Viva published.
Huh?
You had seen one of Alan Klein's books that
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
You
you're
know what?
kidding.
You know what? It was actually when we still had Borders, and I was in, I think, the self-help section. And I just thought, I forget what book it was, but it was so beautifully packaged. And so that's right. I wanted, yeah. And then I mentioned that to my agent, and then we figured out that you were in Berkeley with Viva Editions, and I was in Sonoma that winter. And yeah, so I think we had 4 books with Viva, and Nancy Tupperling was also the co-author of the Toast book with Viva.
Yeah. No, it's so perfect that you guys are in this Heart Wisdom panel together, because like you occupy like a section of my mind, you know, as the kings and queens of inspiration.
What a connection that June would see my book in a store.
Right. Yeah.
To get to Brenda.
I know. I think it was your book. It was a light turquoise in cover about thankfulness.
Yeah. No, it's light blue, but like sort of a bluey turquoisey. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just loved it.
To change your life. Change your life. Yeah.
Book.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that Synchro Destiny again, Monk?
Sounds like it.
We have to get Monk on one of these panels too soon.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm writing that down right now.
Perfect.
So I have a funny story about turkeys, since we're talking about turkeys. I used to have a house in Sonoma County, Brenda
Oh.
knows, she's been there.
Mhm.
And we had lots of wild turkeys. So one day I'm sitting on the hill, just kind of looking at the scenery. It was a wonderful kind of meditative place. And the turkeys used to like to get to the redwood trees, but they don't fly very far and they had trouble getting up. So there was this whole flock of turkeys I was watching. It was kind of like an airport runway, and they would run and jump on the table we had outside the garage. They would then use that to jump onto the roof of the garage. And then they would take this running leap all the way on the roof, the whole house, and jump up into the redwood trees. So I'm watching this and I'm kind of smiling. It's really like live television, you know. But one of them got in the driveway, jumped on the table, jumped on the roof, start running down to jump on the redwood trees, stopped at the edge of the roof after it had run down the whole roof. It was like too afraid to, to take off, you know. So went back and did the whole routine over again and finally got into the redwood trees. And I was just hysterical. It's one of those moments I wish I had my cell phone so I could have taken a movie of it. So nature, by the way, nature is the #1 generator of awe moments for people.
Mm.
So, and you don't even have to be around nature, just have pictures of nature around you. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah, and then the other thing you can do is I've been gathering photos of nature, a lot of them, and I've put them on, I've saved them to a folder, and then I personalize my desktop with the monitor cycles through probably 200 on nature in general, and then I have a separate category of seasons, so each season. And then I have a category of birds and then animals. And so it's just nice to have that variety, and it is inspiring to look at that while I work.
Right. So I have some around my office. This is
Ooh.
flowers that were in my garden one year.
Ah,
So I just took a picture of
beautiful.
it and have it
Yeah.
around. So it's such a, and if you don't have those, you can go on the internet and you can get incredible slideshows of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Use
Yeah.
the turkey.
Oh,
There we go.
That's great.
Could I
Linda.
share one more nature moment?
Yes.
This is fun.
I have so many, and I was thinking the other day that I went out to see the Mexican gray wolf. This is actually not the one I want to share, but it's very quick. And they're endangered, basically extinct, and Arizona has made a little refuge for them, and they've transported wolves, a few that were left, and they've begun to reproduce. And unfortunately, some yahoos are still out shooting them, but basically there are about 10 or 12 little packs, a pack is maybe 4 or 5, and that's it in the world. They're all gone from Mexico and everywhere else. And my son and my family and I went out to look for them. And we drove around for hours. It's about a 10-hour drive from Tucson. And we spent 3 days driving. And in that 3 days, we saw 4 separate sightings of wolves bounding across a field, and they were all different ones, and it was incredibly successful. And on the way back, we arbitrarily stopped at a little pond to look for salamanders, and the sandhill cranes were migrating and happened to be at that moment in that pond, and people were coming from all over the world to see them. I had no idea, and I just stumbled upon this incredible sight, and I texted everybody, or chat thing, everybody, a little picture of that, but I think you have to click on it to see it. Anyway, the one I really want to share is the blue whale. So years ago when I lived in Santa Barbara, we woke up one morning to the news that there were blue whales in the Santa Barbara Channel, and called my buddy and said, hey, can we go out tomorrow morning on your little boat? He had like a 25-foot Boston whaler. Can we go look at the whales in the channel? He says, blue whale, four times the size of my boat. And I said, I know, but what do you think? So we set out early morning, fog still on the water, and it was a very low cloud cover, as there is in like June gloom in California. And there were all kinds of crazy different kinds of porpoises and dolphins following our boat. And we got out to the Channel Islands, And we saw in the distance that there was a whaling boat, like a commercial boat, and there were some big breaching whales out there. And my friend started up the boat to head that way, and I said, "Stop." And he turned the throttle down. And I was sitting in the stern, maybe 20 inches off the water. And I felt this. And it wasn't the normal motion of the sea. The boat was moving, but in a weird way. And I look over, and a blue whale is passing underneath the boat, so close that I could touch it.
Wow.
And I put my face down close to the water, and at one point its eye came to me. And its eye was the size of a large pizza. And in that eye was a galaxy of stars. And I felt like I was being sucked into it. And everything, my little follicles all stood on end, and I froze. And the whale rolled once around, so that went away and came back, and the eye came back again. And I looked at it, and then it continued to swim. And that moment changed my life.
Wow.
That is intense.
It was intense, really intense.
Yeah. I felt it. I could feel it.
It was before I became a monk, and it was one of the motivating factors to become a Taoist monk, because Taoism is about nature worship and all that.
Mm.
Hmm.
Monk, I wish I had that story before I wrote the awe factor. It would have gone in if you gave me permission. Fabulous
A good
story.
one. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm where I live in Florida. I'm blessed to have a lot of nature around me, oak hammocks, nature trails, nature reserves. And I live in an area that we have our own bird sanctuary. So we get the sandhill cranes, we get spoonbill cranes, we get everything. And it's a beautiful thing, because especially in the pandemic, the awe was, I could feel the awe all the time. Like, I didn't go without awe even through the pandemic, because I had these places to go to snap me out of everything that was happening. And I think it was such an important thing for me to stay, because I write from a loving place. I have a blog called From a Loving Place. And so to write from there, even going through the challenging times, I have to tap into that awe in order to get there, no matter how challenging it is. So I know it really helped me. And yeah, I love when nature taps you in such a special way. Especially for me, it's hawks and eagles flying over, like right over. There's something so beautiful about that spread of the wings over your head. And it all started for me after reading Eckhart Tolle's book. And he was talking about naming, I think it was A New Earth, where he was talking about don't name what you're looking at, and just be with it and be in it. And the first thing that I had ever seen in that moment was an eagle flying over me. So now every time I see an eagle or a hawk, I can be right there back where I was that first time, in that full awe. I love it.
Wonderful story. Yeah.
I think we lost Sherry.
I think we lost her. Yeah. Whose story did she not like?
Oh, there she is.
There we
Yay,
go.
There's Sherry.
Hi, everyone. What I miss?
You missed a couple good stories. You'll have to watch the playback.
I'm in awe of how the internet works, and sometimes it just doesn't. That's what I'm in awe of. So, hi. Do you guys have time to go around and just close out our circle? Can people stay just a couple minutes extra?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. So this is something that Brenda introduced a few months ago, and we just sort of popcorn around. And the whole time that we've been talking today, I just kept thinking, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to hear just a tiny snippet of something that brings awe or inspiration to you? And so you could share that, or you could share maybe a snippet from something that you heard today that really spoke to you. So why don't we start with June,
Okay.
and then you can hand the quote unquote mic over to whomever you want.
Okay. Yeah, I really like to talk about nature, and I mentioned the hiking, and I wanted to go to a new area. I hike in a very large wilderness park, acres and acres and acres. So anyways, as I knew there was a situation where the I think it was the North Kitsap Trails Association wanted to purchase a lot of acres, and they did not have the money, and the land was owned by Port Gamble Wilderness Area. So I got to this area, I hiked in, and so what they had made a deal with the Port Gamble with Pope Resources, that Pope Resources would need to do one full logging before the North Kitsap Trails Association could take it over. So anyways, I hiked out, and then I got to the clear cut area. And at first, I think most people, when they see clear cut, they think, oh no. But instead there was a trail called Hope, and it went up to an outlook. And then they described the whole situation where they needed to clear cut so they could eventually own the property. And just that sign Hope in the middle of the clear cut, I guess that was an awe experience for me.
Beautiful. Now you get to call on somebody.
Oh, okay. How about Monk? Monk,
Sure, thanks. So I think I have many other animal awe stories, and we'll do that another time. But I did want to comment on something that I posted on the chat, which is Alan's refrigerator story. I think there is a bleeding edge between awe and gratitude, and that it's fairly nuanced to tease them apart. Sometimes, very obvious, and other times not so much, at least to me. But I would say that gratitude is as I wrote in my chat, a tried and true sort of psycho-spiritual technique for having a mental and emotional reset. And that I think, personally, I would distinguish awe and gratitude as maybe awe being bigger and maybe less about me, whereas gratitude would be, my own personal feeling for something that might be intimate and unknown to anyone else, but that I noticed that, the kindness of a server in a restaurant, or, for remembering that I asked not to put any pepper on something, or just little tiny stuff, and sometimes, very moving, big things too, but much narrower and more personal. Whereas I think of awe as, the blue whale. So.
Thank you for that. Monk, you get to pass on the
Oh,
mic.
right. Sorry, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel, you're muted.
Wait, you're muted.
Am I there?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
I was trying to post a picture and I accidentally grabbed a bunch, so I'm actually trying to delete them. I don't know, Debbie, if you can help me with this, because I don't want all these pictures going up. But one of the things for me that had brought a lot of awe to my life is watching these, they're called black belly whistling ducks. And they are the most just unique, gorgeous ducks that I had ever seen. And so I was trying to post a picture, and of course I think I probably highlighted 2,700 pictures, unfortunately. And so recently during the pandemic, there was a group that had a baby, that had a bunch of babies right by our house. And I've been watching them, and I'd watch for the gator to make sure the gator didn't get them, and making sure that I saw them every day and I could enjoy them every day. And then all of a sudden they were gone for a little bit. And just the other day, I saw so many, there was over 30, and some of the young ones from when I first saw them born were all there, and they were all outside my window, and they're really, really, really loud. So it was so funny because I was just in total awe, because it was like I heard this noise outside my window and I didn't know what it was. And I was trying to figure it out, and I go outside to see them all out there, and I was just so blown away. It was just so amazing to me, and it was that full feeling of just total and complete awe. And I just love moments like that, when it's like you can't plan for them, but we were always saying, you're attracting them because you're thinking about it, and so it's just such a cool thing. So I will pass to Shelby.
Well, when I think about what brings me the most awe in life, it's not necessarily something in nature. It's actually a person, and it is my little baby niece, who I talk about any chance I get, which is why I'm talking about her now. And just because, you know, everything she does is just so, you know, for lack of a better word, awesome. Every time she looks me in the eye and kind of smirks a little bit, like my heart feels like it's going to burst out of my chest. But it makes me think really about trying to find the awe in everyone in my life, because it's easy to find the awe from her, because a lot of things she's doing, it's for the first time. And so she is just awesome within herself. But, you know, taking the time to find the things that, you know, every time my mom unloads the dishwasher, like I should really take a step back and be like, that's awesome. And like every time my dad surprises me with coffee, that is very awesome. Like that does not, I don't even have to think twice about how awesome that is. But just kind of finding the awe in the people in my life. And I feel like that's something that I try to do, but definitely kind of putting that at the forefront, because I think that could totally, I mean, just thinking about it, like just makes me happy, and I haven't even actually acted on it yet. So that's something that I'm kind of walking away from this with. So thank you.
Thank you for that reminder, Shelby.
Yeah, of course. Linda, what about you?
Here we go. I guess I'm very grateful to be in the presence of people who appreciate wonder and awe so much, because I sometimes feel alone in the world, because if an eagle flies over, or I see the turkeys or whatever it is, I get so excited, and I'll wave at the eagle and be like, hi, how you doing? So it's nice to know that there's other people like that. And two, Wonder Woman actually is I have a small obsession with her, because I connect with the part that's wonder. I think it's my superpower. And two of my favorite awe moments in nature, I won't give you the long story, but had to do with snakes. And one came and sat right next to me on a log, and one came over and put his head right on my shoe. And I knew that one was going to happen before it happened. I heard him in the woods, and I stopped, and I was on a trail, and I stopped, and all of a sudden I thought, oh, he's going to come over and he's going to put his head on my shoe. And I just stood there very still, and he came straight towards me, put his head on my shoe, and then went off down the trail. And I was like, what just happened? Was there a witness for that? Because I swear that just happened. So I love those moments. And for me, it's such joy. I just overflow with joy in those moments. And not everybody appreciates how happy I get about it, how giddy I get about it. But there are people who do.
Thank you, Linda.
I'll hand it to Nancy.
Thank you. So nice to be here. Well, Shelby mentioned a person. So my daughter's home from college, one of them, and I've just been in awe of who she is now, who she's become. And so we've been taking a lot of walks, and I'll just show you, she drew this in like 15 minutes, you know, just a little sketch of what we had seen. And so I guess it's just, well, Monk was saying, you know, it's hard to tell for me the difference between gratitude and awe, but I'm very grateful that I have two kids that love to be out in nature and not always on their phone and and that's a great thing. So yeah, I will pass it to Shelley.
Hi there. First, I just want to apologize for being late. I was coming from a call that was supposed to end at 1:30 and it went about a half hour late. So I'm glad that I was able to come on for the end and be with you all for a little bit today. I just want to say it's so funny that I heard all the stories about turkeys. I'm currently up in Spokane, Washington, where I've never experienced this before, but we also have a gaggle of wild turkeys that live in this area of South Hill in Spokane that literally will stop traffic and cause traffic jams. They sort of own the territory, and I've never experienced that before. So to hear so many turkey stories in one place is kind of funny. When we first came up here, I took a picture of them blocking the road and thought, this is traffic jams look much different than they do in Orange County on the 405 versus here in Spokane. So it's funny when you take a step back and hear things that help you appreciate a place that you might not have appreciated in a different way. I think with awe, it's really interesting, having grown up on the East Coast and then having up until recently been in Southern California for quite a long time. The beauty of Southern California was and is majestic to me. Just there were certain places and views of the ocean where I lived that no matter how busy or hectic in my day, they would catch me always and make me pause and just realize just the sheer magnitude of vastness of the earth and the connection that I would feel looking out at this ocean where I wouldn't see any limits. And I learned about myself in the years that I lived there, that feeling of water and spaciousness is something that really inspires my creativity. And so not being there at the moment and kind of tapping into other ways or those memories and still being sort of able to connect to that feeling has been something that I've had to work at a little bit, I'll admit. But the gratitude is really having the memory of that place and knowing, when it's safe to do so, we'll be able to go back. And just remembering, though, ultimately, I think when I really think about awe, it's just not being caught up in the future and certainly not the past, but just appreciating every moment that I have with myself, with my loved ones, with my health. Having had a lot of family members get sick with COVID in the fall, and so I think it really is for me just remembering just the gratitude in every moment of what it is to just even be alive, and every moment that I have with the people that I care about really is majestic. And that's, I think, what I take away from this whole year and this experience. I might not be at that view in California that I love, or I might not have had that chance to go back to London where we have family again this year, but in every moment there is something that I can be grateful for. And I think if I can remember that each day and really remember that, then I think each day has been what I would call a success and a happy day. And I will pass to Brenda.
Okay.
I'm glad you could be here, Shelley. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kaiser is a health group hospital system here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they're starting to ease us back a little bit into like regular maintenance appointments. So last week I went for one of those normal maintenance appointments, and it was the first time I had driven across the Bay Bridge in months because, shelter in place, you're not out driving across the bridges and everything. So I was just in complete awe of like how beautiful like the San Francisco Bay is. And I know it's even funny that I'm talking about the Bay Bridge because the Golden Gate Bridge is the one that's in my Zoom. But like, the Bay Bridge, like nobody takes photographs of it, but like it's got this pretty spectacular view. And so I was just like so grateful to live here and just remember that like it's just stunningly beautiful place and that we live on a stunningly beautiful planet. And I feel grateful that I believe the new administration is going to try to to do something about climate change and take better care of our earth. And so I'm hoping that we're living in a new era of earth stewardship. And with that, I really want to hear from 949-233-7253. You're up.
That's actually me. That was my cell phone. I dialed in and then joined on the Zoom.
Okay. Alan, did we hear from you yet?
Not yet. And I'm going to dovetail into what some people talked about their children. And just a little off fact here, the number one awe getter, I guess, is nature. And then number two, according to research, is being around young children, that particularly newborns, a lot of awe there. But what brings me awe every day since COVID is my daughter and I talk on the phone at 5 p.m. every day, no matter what we have to say or not have anything to say. And she's such a joy. It's just it's like if I've had a bad day, I know 5 o'clock's coming up, I am totally lifted up chatting with her. We laugh a lot. Sometimes we cry a lot. It's opened up conversations about the history of my family. Sometimes it's just what we're cooking for the evening, but no matter what it is, it's just an incredible moment for me that day. And I'm just so grateful that she is in my life. And her name is Sarah. So thank you, Sarah. I am grateful that you're in my life. Thank you. Oh, I need to call on someone. Let me see. Is anyone left?
Well, I think Marilyn, Debbie, and Liz Marie, if I'm right. Anybody else I'm missing?
Debbie, can I call on Debbie?
Let's see if she answers. She might be indisposed.
Okay, how about Liz Marie?
Are you there, Liz Marie?
Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
I guess for me right now, I would say just time. Because like the same time last year, I would have never imagined that I'm moving to New York. I'm like in the middle of a move right now this week. So that whole thing's just like crazy to me because that wasn't even like a thought in my mind a year ago. I've never been to New York a year ago. I went first time like last year before the whole pandemic hit. But I guess I'm just in awe of like time. Like you can be going through like the toughest time of your life, but like a year from now, it could be like amazing. So yeah, I would like to just say that.
Thank you. That was great. Should we see, Marilyn, are you here? Okay, maybe not. Did anybody else not go? I think that was everybody. Yeah. Well, as I said, when I was like having this wonderful time being so connected with all of you, I was out in my studio and all of a sudden the internet just dropped, right? It just went out and didn't come back. But the thing that was so beautiful was when I came into the house, because we have a different internet system, when you all popped back, it was like I'd almost never seen that before, right? Like it was, I think it's because of our conversation that suddenly I've been on a million Zoom calls, right? We all have. But suddenly, just like Alan was pointing out at the start, right? It was almost like I could see it anew for the fact that like, this is really awe-inspiring that all of us from all these different places, all these walks of life, first of all, how we even all got connected is amazing. But the fact that we can literally see each other and tell stories and share this time, I feel so grateful. So I'm not happy that my internet went out, but yet on the other hand, I am, because it really brought me to that. It brought me back to what a gift this is and what a gift to all of you are, because I really missed you in those moments, because, you know, and so I just really, for me, that's my awe. And also my as we keep saying, awe and gratitude. It's also my deepest gratitude that you would each take the time to show up and to be here and to stay late and to share. For me, and I hope for you too, this has been really, really uplifting. It was exactly what I hoped. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, June and Alan. And thank you, Brenda and Debbie and everyone else who's here. It's just been really amazing. So we do this every Wednesday. I hope you'll all come back. It's always fun. It's always different. And yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.